A world without human beings may sound like a notion, right out of an apocalyptic science fiction novel. But given the lingering threats of nuclear and chemical weaponry, and the intensifying tensions in war-torn regions around the world, many believe that such a reality may be inevitable. Have you ever wondered, what would happen to life on Earth, if a doomsday event killed every human on the planet? This story speculates that humanity has disappeared instantly. The last power plants in Europe fail, and the last houses go dark as lights fail. Chemical plants now have no power. Many stored gases require electricity to be cold enough to stay in liquid form. Gas storage tanks heat up until pressure release valves are activated, sending toxic gases into the surrounding environment. In London, England, Big Ben rings for the last time. The clock tower needs to be wound every 3 days to remain ticking, but with no one to wind it, it finally grinds to a halt. In homes and apartments, domestic pets are starving. Now they must break out of their homes or starve to death. Pet dogs and cats exhaust all the food in their homes and break out to search for more in the streets. Cats adapt quickly to hunting. Sewage treatment facilities fail without electricity, leaving sewage treatment plants useless. Raw sewage begins polluting rivers and lakes. Abandoned dogs struggle to survive. In farms and pastures all over the world, dairy cows are struggling to survive as their food and water supplies begin to end. In a cruel twist of fate, 90,000 dairy cows are saved from the slaughterhouse, but most of their numbers will die of dehydration. Zoo animals face a similar fate as many will die trapped in their enclosures. Some exotic animals break out of their enclosures through disabled electric fences. Elephants start pruning the suburbs of vegetation in a desperate search for food, whilst hardier animals like camels browse on all available vegetation. Lions and tigers fan out into the streets to hunt but find hunting challenging in the city as they are not adapted for life in an urban setting. Migratory birds find traveling easier now since electric lights from office towers and skyscrapers do not confuse them anymore. The permanent loss of power reaches the nuclear power plants. Computers shut off the reactors and stop the reactions inside, but the nuclear power plants could cause a potential catastrophe. With no maintenance and the ice of multiple winters, roads appear degraded and cracked. Moss covers their surfaces, and grass grows in the cracks. New trees grow in home gardens. Vehicles and other metallic structures begin to succumb to corrosion that strips away paint and protective coatings, resulting in rust that eats through metal. Many of the 1 billion automobiles will soon degrade into hollow husks. Roofs on houses collapse, allowing trees to grow in their interior. Many homes begin to collapse and fall apart as rotting walls and timbers succumb to rot and rain damage. Devastated by solar winds, artificial satellites return to Earth in the form of shooting stars. Some of their pieces make it to the ground and start some fires. These satellites have been spiraling to Earth for the last 30 years, but now, with the batteries dead and any station-keeping fuel expended, atmospheric drag causes them to plummet to the ground. Corrosion from rainwater, ice and lightning strikes has completely ravaged the upper half of the Eiffel Tower, and the iron is rusted through and teetering. A strong wind collapses it, and falls into the new marsh on the River Seine that has flooded the remnants of Paris. Metal bars inside concrete gave it its strength, but when water reaches the bars, they expand and crack the concrete. Finally, the support columns give way and the buildings topple. The upper floors rain down, smashing lower floors until the buildings crumble to the ground. Most buildings suffer the same fate. Skyscrapers around the world begin to collapse. sea life has completely recovered from overfishing and thrives. Though there are still dogs, specific dog breeds do not exist anymore, erased by generations of free reproduction, with a wide variety of mixed breeds and mongrels taking their place. In Europe, the largely decreased wolf population expands into the countries where it was completely exterminated. Upon reaching the ruins of cities, wolves come into contact with feral dogs, competing with them for food and breeding with them, erasing the last traces of domestication. Forests return to the state they had 10,000 years ago. The Statue of Liberty has fallen to pieces, and only its pedestal still stands, but this concrete pedestal could last thousands of years. The last traces of New York City are completely erased. Most species however adapt and thrive: sea lions, ducks, camels, fish, ostriches, lions, tigers, bison, baboons, deer, wolves, horses, cattle, and elephants all adapt alongside many other species. However, evidence left by moon exploration missions and certain plastic items will survive intact for not only thousands, but millions of years after mankind has vanished. They will be the last legacy of the human race.